You wake up because the ship tells you to, not with sound exactly, but with pressure. The weight of bodies shifts as the hull moves, and that movement travels through bone and muscle until it reaches you. Your eyes open to darkness so complete it feels physical, like something pressed against your face. For a moment, you don't know where you are. That moment is a mercy. It never lasts. Your body remembers first. Your ankles burn where iron bites into skin that has never healed. Your wrists ache from being held in the same position for too long. Your neck is stiff because there is nowhere to turn it. Someone else's arm lies across your thigh, heavy and unmoving. Someone's breath brushes your ear in short, shallow gasps. The air itself feels used, thick, warm, already breathed by too many lungs. This is how every day begins. There is no morning light to mark the start, no sunrise, no birds. Time is measured only by pain returning to places that briefly went numb during the night. You try to move your toes. They respond slowly, like they belong to someone else. You flex your fingers as much as the chain allows, just to be sure they are still there. Around you, people begin to wake in fragments. A cough, a low moan, the sound of metal shifting as someone tests their restraints. No one speaks loudly. Loudness invites attention. Attention brings punishment. Everyone here has learned that lesson quickly. The smell is worse than yesterday. It always is. Waste buckets overflow because there are too many bodies and not enough hands to reach them in time. Sometimes the buckets tip during the night when the ship rolls. Sometimes they are kicked accidentally. Sometimes no one even tries anymore. The floor beneath you is slick, damp, warm. You stop wondering which parts of it came from you. Breathing is work. Each inhale feels shallow, as if the air is running out before it reaches your lungs. People closest to the hatch get more of it. People farther away learn to breathe slower, carefully, as if conserving something precious. Panic spreads faster than disease down here. You keep yours tight inside your chest, where no one can see it. Somewhere in the darkness, a child begins to cry. The sound cuts through the hold like a blade. It doesn't last long. A woman whispers urgently. The crying softens, then stops. You don't know if the child was comforted or silenced. You don't ask. When the hatch finally opens, it feels like violence. Light pours in too quickly, stabbing eyes that have grown used to nothing. Fresh air rushes down, carrying sounds from above. Boots on wood, voices laughing, the clatter of tools. For a few seconds, the hold becomes a place where breathing feels possible again. People lift their heads instinctively, like plants turning toward the sun. Then, the hatch closes. The air settles back into itself. Hot, wet, heavy. Someone near you vomits. They cannot turn away. It spills onto legs, onto chains, onto the floor. No one reacts. Reaction costs energy. Energy is survival. Later, hands reach down from above, not gentle hands, hands that grab ankles, wrists, hair. A few people are dragged upward, chains rattling as they stumble toward the ladder. You watch without looking, staring at the place where light disappears instead. Being chosen means air. It also means exposure. If you are pulled up, the deck blinds you. The sky is too wide, too bright. You squint against it, breathing hard, lungs aching as they fill with air that feels sharp and cold compared to the hold. The sea stretches endlessly in all directions, indifferent and calm, as if it has nothing to do with what happens on this ship. You are made to move. The crew calls it exercise. They force your body to jump, to bend, to sway in time to shouted commands. Muscles that have been locked for weeks scream as they are suddenly demanded to perform. If you move too slowly, the whip reminds you how quickly pain can be delivered. If you collapse, the whip reminds you again. They are not trying to keep you healthy. They are trying to keep you sellable. If you are not taken up, you remain below, listening to the sounds of punishment echo faintly through the deck. The crack of leather, a cry cut short, the sound of someone hitting wood. Each noise travels through the ship and settles into you, even if it does not touch your body. Food arrives sometime later. A bucket lowered into the darkness. The smell is bland and unfamiliar. You eat because refusing means pain. You eat because hunger has become louder than disgust. You eat because someone once told you that starving yourself might bring release, and you now know release is not guaranteed. Water follows, a ladle, a mouthful. sometimes less. You savor it without tasting it. Thirst lives deeper than the tongue now. It lives in your bones. People around you change day by day. Someone who spoke yesterday is silent today. Someone who shared food stops reaching for it. Someone who laughed once no longer lifts their head. Bodies fail quietly. When someone dies, you know before anyone says anything. Their breathing stops adjusting to the ship's movement. Their weight becomes wrong. Eventually, chains unlock. Not for freedom, for removal. The dead are hauled upward when it is convenient. Sometimes they stay among the living for hours, sometimes for an entire day. You learn to ignore the smell because acknowledging it does nothing. You learn that grief must wait for a time that may never come. This is still only the beginning of the day. Under the deck, time stretches until it loses meaning. Hours feel the same as days. The ship moves forward, and that movement becomes the only proof that time is passing at all. People stop asking how long they have been here because the answer hurts too much. Knowing would mean imagining how much longer remains. For women, fear takes on a different shape. It is constant, layered, and inescapable. From the first day, eyes linger too long. Hands pause where they shouldn't. The hatch opening becomes a moment of dread, not relief. You learn to recognize the footsteps of certain men above you. You learn which voices mean danger. You learn to make yourself smaller, quieter, less noticeable, though none of that guarantees safety. When you are taken above deck, it is not always for air. Sometimes you are pulled out alone, sometimes with others, sometimes in the dark of night when the crew is tired and less careful about witnesses. You are brought somewhere you cannot see clearly, pushed down, ordered in words you do not understand but do not need translated. Resistance brings pain. Compliance brings a different kind of pain that stays longer. You return to the hold altered. Your body aches in new places. Your mind withdraws further inward. The people around you do not ask questions. They avert their eyes. Not because they don't care, but because caring openly feels dangerous. Silence becomes a shared language. Children witness everything. There is no shielding them, no corner of the ship where innocence survives untouched. Some cling to parents who no longer have the strength to protect them. Others wander the narrow space between bodies when chains allow, their small hands brushing against iron and skin and fear. They grow older in weeks. Names begin to fade. At first, people whisper them to themselves, clinging to identity as if it might keep them whole. But names belong to a world where people are recognized. Here, recognition has been replaced by numbers, by price, by weight. Eventually, names feel heavy, painful. You stop using them. You stop answering to them. You become what the ship needs you to be. Cargo that breathes. Illness spreads quietly. Someone develops a fever. Someone's wounds fester. Someone stops eating. There is no isolation. There is no treatment. Disease moves easily through chains and touch and breath. When sickness becomes too visible, when someone weakens enough to slow the ship's routine, a decision is made. You hear the splash before you see it. Sometimes the person is already dead. Sometimes they are not. The crew does not always check. A life is weighed against speed, against profit, against inconvenience. The ocean waits patiently. It always does. The sound of the water closing over a body is brief, final. The ship does not pause. After that, the hold is quieter. People look away from the place where the body had been, not out of respect, but out of fear. Fear that noticing might make them next. You learn to keep your gaze low, to stay useful, to move when ordered, to survive one more hour. There are whispers of resistance. Always whispers. Someone suggests rushing the deck when the hatch opens. Someone else talks about breaking chains with tools stolen from above. Someone mentions fire. Someone mentions the sea. These conversations never happen loudly. They happen in fragments, exchanged through glances and half-sentences. Most plans die before they are spoken fully. The ship is built for this, built to prevent escape, built to contain panic, built to turn hope into something dangerous. When resistance does happen, it is swift and brutal. Whips, chains tightened, food withheld, bodies displayed as warning. The lesson is clear. Survival comes through obedience, not courage. Still, some people choose otherwise. They wait for moments when the crew is distracted, when the sea is calm, when chains are loosened briefly for cleaning or feeding. They run, they jump, sometimes together, sometimes alone. The ocean receives them without judgment. Those who remain never know whether to envy or mourn them. Storms make everything worse. When waves batter the ship, water seeps into the hold, soaking bodies already weak from illness and hunger. People slide against each other, chains cutting deeper into skin. The darkness becomes absolute. The hatch stays sealed for days. Air grows thin. Breathing becomes desperate. Prayers fill the space, whispered, cried, moaned, in dozens of languages to dozens of gods. Some people bargain, some curse, some go silent. Faith fractures under pressure. Some cling to it harder, others let it go entirely. When the storm passes, the damage remains. More sickness, more deaths, fewer voices, and yet morning still comes, not marked by sunlight, but by routine, by hunger returning, by thirst sharpening, by the ship continuing forward. Every day becomes a test of endurance rather than hope. Survival stops being about escape. It becomes about lasting. You learn to separate your mind from your body, to retreat inward, to a place untouched by chains and heat and noise. Memories become dangerous here, but they are also the only thing that reminds you that you were once more than this. You revisit faces, landscapes, sounds from before the ship. Sometimes you can almost feel them. Sometimes they hurt too much to hold. Above deck, land draws closer. You do not know this yet, but the ship begins to change. The crew grows alert, tense, supplies are checked, bodies are inspected, teeth examined, muscles assessed. You feel hands press into your arms, your back, your legs. You are no longer just surviving. You are being prepared. As the ship slows, you feel it before you understand it. The rhythm changes. The endless forward pull eases, replaced by shorter movements, adjustments, hesitation. The ocean no longer feels infinite. Something solid is near. Above deck, voices sharpen. Orders are given more often. The routine tightens. You don't know the word for what is coming, but your body senses it. Change always carries danger. The hatch opens more frequently now. Light pours in longer than before. Air circulates. It almost feels generous, and that is how you know it isn't kindness. You are pulled up more often, made to stand, to move, to show that your body still responds to command. Hands grip your arms, your shoulders, your jaw. Fingers pry open your mouth. Teeth are inspected. Eyes are lifted toward the light. You are turned, pressed, examined like a tool whose condition must be verified. You are no longer simply alive. You are inventory. Those who are too weak are separated. You see it happen without seeing it. A pause, a look, a shake of the head. Some are dragged away and do not return. Others are given slightly more food, slightly more water. Care appears suddenly, selectively. It is not mercy, it is investment. At night, sleep becomes lighter. The hold feels different. Taut, expectant, people whisper less, not because there is nothing to say, but because words feel useless now. You sense the proximity of land in the air, in the way the ship settles, in the way the crew watches you. For some, this brings a flicker of hope. For others, dread sharpens. Whatever awaits on shore is unknown, but it is certain, and certainty is terrifying. The day of arrival is loud. The hatch opens fully. Sunlight floods the hold, blinding, unforgiving. The heat on deck is different from the heat below open, exposed. The smell of land mixes with salt and sweat. You are hauled up, chains clanking, legs unsteady from weeks without proper movement. The sky feels enormous. The horizon is broken by trees, buildings, docks. People, so many people. They are waiting. You are lined up, forced to stand, to be seen. Some avert their eyes, some stare openly, some smile. Voices chatter in a language that reduces you to sound. Numbers are spoken, prices. You understand none of it, but your body understands the tone. You are being measured in worth. If you falter, a hand steadies you not to help, but to keep you upright. Falling would lower your value. Someone wipes your skin, oils it, tries to hide sores and scars. The ship has carried you across an ocean not to break you completely, but to deliver you in a condition that can be sold. Families are separated quickly, efficiently. A child pulled from a parent's grip, A partner dragged away while hands still reach for each other. Screams erupt, sharp and raw, cutting through the controlled noise of the dock. The crew ignores them. Buyers ignore them. This is expected. This is accounted for. Chains are unlocked and replaced with new ones. Different iron, different weight, different purpose. You are no longer cargo in transit. You are property in transfer. The ship behind you empties, one body at a time. The hold that once defined your entire world becomes irrelevant in minutes. You are moved forward, away from it, into a future that is just as confined, just as controlled, just as dangerous, but in different ways. Survival has carried you here, but it has not delivered you to safety. As you are led away, you hear the ship again, the creak of wood, the slap of water. It sounds almost familiar now, almost comforting, and that realization unsettles you more than anything else. You have adapted to something that should have destroyed you. For those left behind on the ship, those too weak, too sick, too damaged, the journey ends quietly. Some are sold cheaply, some are discarded, some disappear without record. The ship will be cleaned, the hold scrubbed, the chains reused, another voyage planned. The ocean does not remember names, neither does history most of the time. What you carry forward is not just the memory of suffering, but the knowledge of how routine it became, how quickly horror turned into schedule, how systems transformed cruelty into process, how an entire daywake, breathe, endure, sleep, could exist inside something designed to erase you. This was not an exception. It was not chaos. It was organization. A normal day on a slave ship was not marked by constant screaming or dramatic violence. It was marked by repetition, by restraint, by the slow grinding down of people into something manageable, something profitable, something forgettable. And the most disturbing truth is this: the ship did not need hatred to function. It needed compliance, structure, indifference. It needed people to do their jobs, follow orders, keep records, calculate margins, and go home at the end of the day believing they were part of something normal. Because for them, it was. And that is why this history matters, not because it is shocking, but because it was sustained, because it was daily, because it was ordinary. This was a normal day on a slave ship, and the world was built to let it happen.